Hello and welcome to Fit With Us episode 14. What is happening, Gary? How are you?
Very well, mate. Very well. How you doing?
Good, mate. For those listening, episode 14 was meant to be last week, but Gary, do you know who Jimmy Smith Jr. is?
I don't know. Should I?
You probably should, mate. Maybe if I say his nickname, B Rabbit, you know who B Rabbit is?
I know B Rabbit,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. Gary had a wee B Rabbit moment last week where he stepped on stage and was about to record, literally had everything set up, and then he choked. He choked, and there was no episode. Maybe there was an episode recorded. You'll not see it. You'll not hear it. It's
No, hear it. I had every intention of doing a solo episode because Kyle was busy and had 3 pints last Friday. Ended up absolutely steaming because I'm a fucking lightweight and I can't
not.
handle it anymore. So I was rough on Saturday. Very rough.
It's mad what it does to you though. Like I was having a very dry January up until you were at the same event on Friday, and we both
Mhm.
had a few pints. I'm telling you, like it took me till genuinely like Tuesday or Wednesday this week to start feeling normal again. Such a lightweight.
It's mental, isn't it?
I very much the last year or 2 years, I'm just reducing all sorts of alcohol content. I love a pint, but I'm just like I can't hack it anymore. Can't be doing it.
Mate, you and me both. It reminded me again why I had given up for that kind of 18-month spell. And every time I have a couple of pints, I'm like, I need to give it up again. But I do love a pint.
It is brutal though, isn't it? Like I'd be exactly the same, mate. You forget about it, and then you're like, actually, you know what? We pint or two will be fine. And then next day, you're like, wow, I feel like I've been hit by a truck. Like,
Mate, I was fine in the pub we were in. I was absolutely fine. See, when I was walking to get the train and the fresh air hit me, I was like, holy fuck, I am pissed.
yeah, mate. I'll tell you what. Me and AJ had to drive across. We got to Dublin Airport, I think at 11:30 on the evening when we're going back, and we had to drive straight across to Galway, which is about a 3 hour drive. So we got to Galway at 2:30. By this point, the pints had well and truly worn off. I just got to the point where you're done with it. But I didn't realise the boy was competing. It was meant to be originally competing in the afternoon, but it was a last minute. Oh, you're competing 9 o'clock in the morning. So I got into Galway at like 3 in the morning. Had to get up. I think it was like 8. Literally just checked in, woke up. But you know that way that like AJ was sitting on Instagram Reels at like 7:30 in the morning. You know that way it was just playing tunes. I was raging, mate. I was literally just going, "What are you doing? Like, what are you doing?" That there's nothing that annoys me. It, it's courteous enough to have the volume down, but you know that way you're still hearing it. It's like somebody just changing channels and an old TV behind you, and you're like, it would have been actually all right if you get in some rhythm, but just my wee mental like capacity. I'm just trying to like there's one thing, then it's the next thing, and I'm like, oh, there's Andrew Tate, and then the next minute we're going, there's the Cheeky Girls. I'm like, what is happening here?
At least put some fucking earphones or something in, AJ, you selfish prick.
Ah, you prick you. Yeah.
Right. Well, that's you get one thing that's bugged you this week. I'm going to tell you two things that's bugged me this week, right? And
Go on.
it's the pronunciation of certain words. Now, I heard both of these this week, mate, and they've really got under my skin.
Go on.
First one is, you can go to Greg's and get a pasty.
Pasty, is it? Is that what they were saying?
Pasty.
Pasty. Yeah.
I was like, you fucking asshole. So that started, right? And then another one is I was watching my Instagram stories and I seen a girl talking about her recent vigil.
The reason what?
Vigil,
What's the video?
exactly. Video.
Oh, 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 oh. It's a yellow card defence, that is.
Oh my God, vigil. I was like, she can't be being serious. And then she said that again. So she was deadly serious.
I thought at first you were talking about the centre back that plays for Liverpool, but no, or Van Dijk.
And
But
mate, oh my God, man, it was aye. So that's two things that was completely ripped my knitting this week. Obviously still feeling the effects of the bevy until about Wednesday as well. So anything was bugging me.
mate, see, because I live in Ireland, and there's obviously I've been Scottish, there's shite that we say all the time. But do you know what? I pick up on all the things that Irish people pronounce and say. One that really gets on my nerves is see Audis, like
Mhm.
the car Audi. Every single one of them call it an Audi.
Audi, I knew that was coming. Oh my God. Nah, it's not happening.
Mate, I swear, but see when you're outnumbered, they're like, no, you're the one that's wrong. And I'm like, it was great because I waited years for it, but I was on the radio. Well, not I was on the radio like a controller, but me and Jen were in the like on the car on the radio at one point, and there was a German guy on talking about Audis. I'm like, it's mad how in Germany, where they're produced, they call them fucking Audis.
Aye, I'm an Audi man. Actually, speaking of Irish people pronouncing things fucking mad, I seen a clip of Conor McGregor today, and he was talking about like what diet he's been using to get jacked as fuck. And he said instead of saying potato, he said potato.
Oh mate, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a hard one to tell with Conor McGregor if that's just him lacking a few brain cells or the fact that he's actually just got he's Irish.
Aye, very bad speech impediment because there was no T in that word.
I'm going to be honest though, it broke my heart when I read. Have you read Shoe Dog before?
No.
So I listened to the audiobook of Shoe Dog. It's on Nike, like it's on the like Phil Knight, the guy who made Nike. Now, what
Mhm.
broke my heart, and I purposely called it Nike there, is when he was pronounced it Nike. I was like, oh man, that kills my soul. The fact that I now know it's Nike, and I've been calling it Nike all these years, and it just,
Aye.
what do you call it? What would you have naturally called it?
Nike, it's always been Nike to me, but my mate, one of like my best mate, he worked for them for a while and he
Yeah.
actually corrected me. He's like Nike, and I was like, why are you calling it that? And he's like, because that's how you're supposed to say it. And I like, Stop.
Yeah, I think it's like the Greek goddess or something, Nike. That's the whatever, and then the same as like Adidas is actually Adidas, isn't it?
Aye, that's right. How do you say Hyundai?
Hyundai. Uh,
Aye.
Probably just the way you said it, mate.
I, I,
Hyundai.
mate, I've heard it said so many different ways. Hyundai is another one.
Oh, I've heard that as well. Yeah, it sounds
Uh,
like Team Gundy.
mate, we could go down a massive rabbit hole here. This is fantastic.
But we're not having any sort of value or education here. We're just rinsing words.
Shall we? Shall we dive into something that we've got prepped, or shall we just keep shooting the ship?
Nah, we've got three quick fire topics that we're going to talk about in terms of nutrition. Gary, let's go. Number one. What's that?
Oh, well, you fired them at me saying, "Do you need to do more than counting calories?" So, shall we
You see, mate, that's a
fire?
great idea. Where did you get that one from?
So, my personal opinion on this is yes and no.
Oh, fucking
Um,
friends.
Yeah, so you can lose weight simply by counting calories and doing fuck all else. So that's me swaying towards no, you don't need to do no, you don't need to do more than counting calories. But if you um want to lose body fat, specifically just body fat, you need to get in adequate protein. You need to strength train if you want to get fitter, feel better, and just be overall healthier, you need to get up and move along with counting calories. Is that making sense?
Yeah, 100%. And look, we've not spoke about this before we got on this, so it's very, very fresh and outside the text message.
Mhm,
And do you need to count more than just calories?
mhm.
100%. I think there needs to be. You could just lose weight. You could just lose body fat. And to be fair, if you kept levels of protein high, you would still keep whatever a large point of the muscle that
Large
you
point.
actually have, but that would be on the premise that you do have a decent amount of muscle and you're not just going to look like skin down and bones when you lose fat anyway. Um, I was kind of coming from the angle of, you know, that way that people say, like, you have on one side of things your mate Eddie Abu, who talks about, like, oh, it doesn't matter if you're counting calories, it's bad for you, or in his words,
Mhm,
it's shit, versus on the other end of the fence, it's James Smith, who's like, calorie deficit, mate, and you've got both of them going, one's healthy and one's, where, like, one's calories are king. I was thinking, well, they're both right and they're both wrong in equal measure. Like, realistically, you could lose body fat and weight just by eating Domino's pizza, but there's a few things that are going to happen where
mhm.
you're going to be hungry. You're not going to get all the micronutrients you need. So, like, realistically, your body's not going to be in your energy availability is going to be fucking terrible. But with that said, if you were just to count calories and even say that you do it just through McDonald's, Domino's, KFC, whatever, and you lose body weight, body fat doing that, you are going to be in a healthier place because naturally with less body fat, you are going to be healthier. The bigger issue is just in a long-term strategy, is it the healthiest way of doing things? Are you getting foods into you that are going to give you energy? Probably not. And that's where I'd say like more whole foods would come in place. What do you reckon on that?
I completely agree with that. Obviously, you need to take satiety levels and stuff into consideration as well, because, like you said, if you're sticking to Domino's and McDonald's and Burger King and all the rest of it, while still counting calories, like that whole kind of remember that whole if it fits your macros trend that was happening a few years ago. Yes, you can lose weight on it, absolutely, but you're going to feel like shit. Your energy levels are going to be rock bottom. Your productivity levels are probably going to be really poor and stuff as well. Even your brain function, like you wake up. If you ever woke up, this might sound ridiculous, but if you ever woke up and I know you have pizza every Thursday, but
Last night?
if you've had it last night, if you've had it a few days in a row, you wake up on say the fourth day and you just can't think straight. Your mind's all fucking boggled. You're all over the place. Um, you're going to get like that, and you're going to feel like absolute dog shit if you do stick to the whole if it fits your macros and eat whatever you want sort of nonsense.
Yeah, I would agree 100% on that. I think the less like the less digestible food is and the less micronutrients it has naturally, the less bang for your buck it has. Now, there is a time and place for it, but I would also be super skeptical. And I think it was actually you that brought up this point when it came to KCAL Kitchen and stuff. The food standards agencies, and I've went in a wee rabbit hole looking at it, but the
Hmm.
food standards agencies in most countries, you can get away with, see, when it tells you how many calories you have. So if you go to Domino's and if you go to McDonald's and whatever, they can be up to, I think it's 250 calories out each way. And they can also be, I think it's 20 to 40 grams of protein out, depending on what country you're in. So
Hmm.
the thing is, there's far more variability when it comes to, as much as it's a ballpark, there's far more variability when it comes to like a medium Domino's Texas barbecue pizza versus having two chicken breasts and like two slices of bread with some easy singles on it. Like the more that is you can control, then the more accurate your calories are going to be. So like if you are having Domino's every single day of the week, the variability in that, I mean, if you're talking 250 calories, it could be out each day. You are talking about over the space of 7 days, you could have the possibility of 1,500 calories out, even
Hmm.
what you think you're eating. Does that make sense?
Aye, 100%. And um, tracking calories is it's extremely beneficial for a number of reasons. But when you do go have like a pizza or a slice of pizza, etc., it can make your educated guesses with these much easier, especially when you're eating out or when you're going days untracked. It means at the end of the day, you can kind of have a look back on what you've eaten and be like, I must be around about the 2000 mark. So it helps you build up that kind of knowledge base of macros and calories in certain foods. It doesn't need to be perfect, but as long as you have a rough idea of how much you're bringing in. So I was listening to, in fact, I was watching a Jordan Sayat YouTube video the other day, and he came up with an absolutely dynamite analogy for it, for tracking calories and why it is extremely beneficial. So you'll know this shit because you don't have your driving license yet.
Oh,
Uh,
oh, the burn. Right, go on.
Shots fired. But when you're a fully qualified driver, right?
Right,
And
go
you're
on. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and when you're driving your car, you don't always need to look at the speedometer to know what speed you're going. You generally know because you've seen it, and then you've looked away, and then you've seen it, and then you've looked away, and you know generally like if you're speeding or if you're going too slow or if you're around the speed limit, and you can check back every now and then just to make sure you're not constantly looking at the speedometer the whole time. And this is the same thing with tracking calories. You don't need to be looking at the calories for every single meal, every single day. If you can just keep track, generally, I've used that word quite a lot, then you are more aware and can make better judgment calls and better food choices when it comes to your food.
Yeah, mate, I love that. I love that analogy, albeit, yeah, I can't drive, but that's sound.
Albeit it might not resonate with you, but the majority of our listeners, hopefully.
I still know what speed's happening. I know what's going on. Don't worry.
Mate, see, when I was doing my driving lessons, she just kept telling me, what speed are you going? I was going like 51, and she was like, slow down. I'm like, are you fucking joking me? Like, it was so bad.
Do you know what? Actually, I'm doing a bit of like just talking about speed and being able to regulate it. I'm doing a bit of running at the moment because I can't drive. I need to run places using my legs, you know. But I'm training to do both a high rocks and a marathon. And with that, I'm using this app where it's trying to coach you into pacing you. It's the first time I've ever like actually just went with paces. Normally, I'm just like, well, cool. you just need to progressively overload, run more. One week is 10K, next week is 12, 14, 16, 18, until
Mhm.
such times as I can't do it anymore. It worked, but at the same time, it's mad when you actually get something that's looking and telling you what to control your speed. I'm like, I'm never actually far off. Like, my standard set point would be like a 6 minute kilometer, which is like a 10 kilometer per hour. That would be my speed. So typically over the course of
Mhm.
4 hours, providing there's no fatigue kicking in, I would be 40 kilometers, which would be just over a 4 hour marathon, which is usually my set point without actually looking at paces. But then this is where the benefits of having something that gives you a pace. It's like, well, actually, if you just look at doing a 550 kilometer run, like you're shaving off a good 10 minutes per 10
Mhm.
kilometers. And like that's where you can start to look at breaking things. I'm like, that's the equivalent of like getting in MyFitnessPal and still standardizing things, because as much as you have a set point as to where you know things are, and the more you do things, you will know what kind of pace you're going at, what speed you're going at. Having a MyFitnessPal or whatever, and that's the way that like my coaching system, I bring that up for anyone that's like, if we're going into a lifestyle phase, it would be we're going to reduce how many days a week that you're tracking food, because
Mhm.
realistically, it's a tool for my fitness pal is a tool, but it's not to be used. Well, it can be used for life, but ideally, still going to be days where you don't need to use it. So, typically looking at taking 5 days tracked, the 2 days untracked, and then eventually get down to the opposite, where it's 2 days tracked and 5 days untracked would be kind of where we're at.
Aye, 100%. And tracking your food as well, using things like MyFitnessPal, it's a skill, and it's like any other skill. It's going to be hard at first, but the more you do it, the more you're going to get better at it, and the easier it's going to become. I know, excuse me, I know a lot of people when they start their kind of fat loss, weight loss journey, start tracking calories. That's what puts people off the most, is the calorie side of things. They'll come in, lift all the weights that you tell them to lift, run about like fucking headless chickens, but then when it comes to tracking calories, they're like, nah, I can't do that. You can, you just need to have patience and try it. We're not expecting you to get it right first time. Take 30, 60 days even. Just use the app when you can. Use it every day, 5 days a week even. Just do your best to be as accurate as possible, as meticulous as possible. Like I said, it doesn't have to be to the last calorie, just so we've got a rough idea, and then it will allow you to build up that wee bit of a knowledge base so you can then intuitively eat a wee bit better with a bit more knowledge.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree anymore. I'd say two things on that. If you don't ever have a control on what calories are coming in, you'll always be controlled by them.
Mhm.
And then the second part to that is a great quote that I heard recently. Is like, the work that you're not doing is really where the magic is. So literally, the people who the people who are not tracking calories and stuff, but are still never getting in the shape they want and trying every other thing, it's like, well, it's very obvious as to where where they need to put their efforts, and that is literally doing that for a period of time. Guarantee the moment you start doing it, it's like game changing for you.
Aye, 100%. Don't let that put you off as well, though. This is a big thing. Like, I know a lot of people don't start their fat loss journey or their fitness journey because of the tracking calories side of things, because it puts them off completely. See, for the first 4 weeks, just get to the gym. Dial in your exercise, get to the gym 2, 3 times a week, and then you're going to automatically want to start eating better. And then say after about 4 weeks, you'll be like, maybe I do want to start seeing what I'm bringing into my body and start monitoring it. So don't let it put you off completely. Just maybe delay it for the first 4 weeks until you start getting into a better routine with exercising, and then start introducing it into your kind of daily habits and stuff.
Yeah, moving more and getting what would be deemed as healthier alternatives
Mhm.
to your foods. But I think the best thing that can actually show you where things are going in and what's going out would be
Mhm.
long term getting into tracking.
Absolutely.
But I think the key point to that is 80% of your nutrition you want to come from whole, clean sources, not black or white in terms of, as in like calorie counting versus healthy foods. Realistically, calorie counting is a great tool for you to lose body fat. Eating healthier foods with lots of micronutrients available to it is also the best way to feel better within yourself, function better, and have more energy availability. So combine them both together. 80% of your food's been from really good whole sources, 20% party time.
Absolutely, whatever the fuck you want. That's actually a nice wee segue into what I've got in my notes for the next point. Shall we dive into that? And it's just about like labeling foods, healthy, unhealthy, good and bad.
Oh, go on, sir.
Let's do it. So rather than kind of labeling them good and bad, healthy and unhealthy, start labeling them. Oh my God, I've not woke up yet. Start labeling them. Can I say that? Oh my God.
They're Jimmy Smith Jr. back on the mic, joking.
Start labeling. There, I've had to split it up into two separate
How,
words.
how do you separate? How do you pronounce labeling? Fuck's
Get
sake.
yourself to fuck. Anyway, potato. Stop labeling them more nutritious. Start labeling. Holy Jesus Christ! Start labeling them more nutritious and less nutritious. Right. We're back in the game. So if you label them more nutritious and less nutritious, it kind of takes that feeling of guilt away when you start having them. Plus, any food in copious amounts can eventually become unhealthy and deemed bad if you are then forcing yourself into a calorie surplus by eating 19 avocados a day. I don't think that would be healthy for anybody. Actually, that's just reminded me. I used to work with a guy. I'll come back to this point in a second. I used to work with a guy. I'm not going to name him, but we were in Wagamama, and he decided it was going to be vegan out of nowhere.
For the day.
Eh?
Just for the day, is it?
Do you know what? He kept this up for a few months, and I was actually worried about his health because all he was eating, I'm not even joking, mate. He had like 5 avocados for his lunch, 5 avocados for his dinner, and just wee sprinkles of other food in here. And I said to him, I was like, where are you getting your like protein and stuff from? And obviously he'd been listening to one of these fuck nuggets podcasts on YouTube or something like that. And he was like, oh, your body can only break down 25 grams of protein per day.
Yes.
And I was like, mate, you are fucked in the head if you think that's true. And he's like, what do you know? You're just a personal trainer. You're not a nutritionist. And I was like, holy. And I was like, what? So the guy you're listening to on YouTube is? No, he's just a mad vegan fuck nugget that's telling you complete and utter lies. Nothing against veganism. Like, that's not what I'm against. I'm just against all the false uh, the false agendas they're pushing onto us or onto yous and yous are kind of falling for it, all this kind of misinformation that they're spreading just because they've got the platform to do so.
I just punched that through my fitness pal to see what 10 avocados per day would be, right? So
Tell
in
me.
fact, it's 1920 calories. He's went from saying that you can only have 25 grams of protein. Is it per meal or per day, or what did they say?
Per day.
I was going to say it's literally 24 grams of protein for the day. Um,
That's him. That's him sorted. Then he's ticked all these boxes.
it's mad how we survived as a species for thousands of years on an animal and plant-based diet, a mixture of both. I don't
Mhm.
know, without the research to say that scoffing 10 avocados a day was optimal health, I don't know how we've managed to get to this stage. Mad that, isn't it?
Mate, absolutely bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. Man, his diet was just purely made up of fat, I think. Just pure fat.
Yeah, it's 176 grams of fat. But I think, as you touched on, healthy, getting back to the point, healthy and like unhealthy labeling. So I think this all started back in the 1980s where they were decided at one point that carbohydrates were the bad, they were the enemy for us. So naturally, anything that was low carbohydrate was then or low sugar, which would end up better for you. So now that's still because when you then people put their name to that, companies then put their name to that. You've then got like diet variations of absolutely everything. There's lots of money spent. You've got corporate involved in it. It's very difficult to come back from that point, and we're still finding ourselves in that point, and people like still think that that's like the way to go. Is
I,
like
I know. I know
uh,
it's absolutely mind blowing in it, but I guess it's whoever's right at the top of the pyramid with the most money that's pushing all these kind of lies onto us. They are obviously financially benefiting from it.
yeah, low fat, low sugar. It's now high protein. It's funny because when you see a high protein yogurt, you go to your local Tesco, you look at what's meant to be like high protein yogurt versus just right beside it the Greek yogurt that doesn't say high protein. It's like the Greek yogurt has more protein than the high protein yogurt. It's just somebody's decided to get a big fucking permanent marker and put high protein on it, and it's an extra £2 more. So, yeah, when it comes to like, it just goes down to like fats, carbohydrates, and protein all have a place. If you don't have enough, first of all, fats in your diet, then your hormones are probably going to be a bit fucked. Your recovery, your joints, to be fair, even to a point, taste, it's all going to be affected by that. If you don't have enough carbohydrates in your diet, then you're probably going to struggle to perform to that sort of best of your ability. There are a few outliers on that, in the sense that like people will swear by keto and using, like, again, your body will break down other substances for energy, but that's more of a forced process than anything else. And the argument for the majority of people's carbohydrate would be better for energy levels and consistency. And then sure, protein very much is just building block of muscle, hair, skin, nails, and growth in it. I think that's it.
In it.
And yeah, just checking with Dr. Yari there.
Don't check with me, man. My brain is not functioning this morning. Can't even say
Professionals, not experts.
I can't even say the word labeling right.
Yeah, you done it all right there, mate.
I've had a few runs at it now, so
But here, there's another thing, right? So we went through this phase of you're talking about like labeling things healthy. Like you can get two examples, right? I went to M&S yesterday. There's an M&S in Ireland, and of course, being Ireland, everything's like fucking 20 quid. So there was a healthy smoked what's it, whatever, smoked mackerel, whatever it was. It was like a salad. I got to the till, I didn't even look at the price of it, and it was like $9.20 for this little fucking salad thing. And I was like, you know, that way I paid for it before it dawned on me. Because I got that and a protein bar, and I think it came to like 15 quid. And I didn't even think it through, and it was like 15 quid. And I looked at the macros on it, I'm like, there's less than 400 calories with 40 grams of protein for 15 quid here. But then the opposite side of things, like healthy sometimes is like poverty portions that they can put in. But then the opposite is true, is like just because you put an avocado in something and it's then 1,200 calories for an entire meal, you're like, well, it's healthy because it's got like an avocado in it. And it's like, you're full of shite, mate, because it's people's understanding of it. It's like if you have 3 of them a day, you're on 3,600 calories and you're thinking you're eating salads and you think you're doing well, but then you're doing something unhealthy in the sense that your body will create fat because you've got a surplus of energy. It might be healthy energy, but still a surplus of fucking energy. It doesn't matter what petrol, going back to car analogy, doesn't matter what petrol you put in your car. If you keep on flowing it till your fucking gas tank is full, then it's going to overspill, isn't it?
Oh my God, you okay, mate? Do you need a wee minute?
I just had the wee vein going there, but I've had both a can of Monster and a coffee. It's very bloody.
Oh my God. I can tell, man. Holy shit.
The camera's not even bloody, mate. It's just my hands are moving that quickly that it just looks bloody.
Mate, it's so true in what you say though. Like people go from having a Big Mac, for example, right? Having a Big Mac for their usual dinner, and then they replace that with 1,200 calories of what they deem healthy food, not realizing they're actually bringing in more, and then wondering why it's not working, why they're broken, what's going wrong. It's literally just because you have a very poor understanding of calorie balance, energy balance, and you don't know how much is in what foods, which brings us back to the first point of this is why tracking calories, sorry, is a very, very handy tool to have.
Yeah, couldn't agree anymore, because I think one of the other things that came up is there was a podcast I listened to recently. I can't remember who it was on it, so I can't give them credit. But they were talking about like how we went full circle, where people started going, "Oh, well, a Mars bar is the same calories as a banana." But actually, what happens is people go, "Well, if people then view that as, well, a banana is just as bad as a Mars bar." But if they're going to pick one of the day, they're going, well, I'd rather the Mars bar. And then there's the other thing, it's like, well, 2 apples and a glass of wine are the same calories. And people are like, well, I'm going to have a glass of wine rather than 2 apples. And whilst, yes, from a calorie standpoint, that is absolutely correct. I'm like, and you would be able to lose weight if you controlled your wine intake and looked at the calories beside it. You could survive on whatever, 8 glasses of wine a day and nothing else. Sure, I'm pretty sure I've seen quite a lot of skinny alcoholics. You're not going to be the most energetic. Like, you're going to feel terrible all the time. Your muscle mass is going to take a hit. So it's important to have the balance and making sure that you do have decent quality of foods within those calories.
Aye, and that's again that brings us back to the kind of 80-20 that you were mentioning earlier. Having having a Big Mac, having a Mars bar, having 8 glasses of wine isn't bad or unhealthy if 80% of your diet all the time is the more nutritious side of things. And like I'm talking for personal experience here. Um, having that kind of Big Mac, etc., in your diet, it can actually help you adhere to being in a calorie controlled diet because just having that wee bit of less nutritious food, we'll call it, to look forward to makes it makes sticking to a more nutritiously balanced diet a hell of a lot easier. Just knowing you've got that wee bit of respite, that wee bit of tasty, fucking mouth-gasmic food to look forward to, it makes you stick to it more. It gives you something to look forward to rather than just having it every day to the point where you're not even enjoying it anymore. You're just eating it for the sake of it.
Well, 100% the point. Like even last night where we have our Domino's pizza, it does two
Mhm.
things. One, it is something you can look forward to, and if I'm ever feeling like, oh, I'm a bit run down, or I could just enjoy sitting back watching a movie and associating it with a pizza, 100% it fits it. But also from a people around you point of view, partner point of view, like Jen, very much being pregnant at the moment, is not on a calorie counting journey. She does not give a fuck about what weight she is, and she has lots of cravings. So with that, instead of there being this friction about going, oh, you're counting calories, I'm feeling bad for having a pizza, whatever, it very much gives us our time to go, well, here, that's what's happening. Like I will factor the calories in for the pizza and I will look at the rest of the week and how we actually set that up properly so I can enjoy that plus the big garlic dip. Shout out to the big garlic dip. But she doesn't need to know that. At the moment it comes to Thursday, it's like it's pizza night. That's what's
Mhm.
happening. And it gives you that wee bit of time. So I think it's calorie counting gives you the ability to actually have those moments and enjoy it without feeling guilt. Because I would guarantee you, the people who don't count calories and are still looking at trying to get results and don't understand it. I put a story up about this last night. It's like, guarantee you, as much as they'll live for the moment because you only live once and have that pizza, they'll be feeling fucking miserable today and feel like,
Yep.
oh, I've ruined the week and it's not even Friday yet. I may as well a lot of the time just write off the weekend and I'll start again Monday and then before
Aye.
it's yeah, yeah,
Uh, it- Mate, just quickly touching on the big garlic dip. Do you know how many calories is in that tub?
I do because I logged it. It's like 600 for the entire tub, isn't it? 800?
Absolutely wild, man.
Yeah, yeah,
Just for a big tub of sauce.
yeah. I mean, I just scanned it. I don't even look at it, mate. I just scan it and it's in. I'm like, I'm not. If I had the itemized thing and I actually looked at it, mate, I probably wouldn't ever have it. But it's like it's worth it, mate. Though, 100%.
Oh, fucking hands down worth it.
But there's the thing, right? So if you look at that big garlic sauce and say it's 600 calories for the tub, you could theoretically, if you were on 1800 calories, you could drink 3 of them a day. Like drink 3 of them a day. Tastes great, but yeah, rotten. But at the same time, like you would still be like you could lose weight on it, but you're going to feel miserable. You can't really chew on it, so it's not giving your taste buds satisfaction. Well, it's not giving you the feeling of actually being full.
Mhm.
So yeah, you can do it with anything. You've seen like sure, you've seen all sorts of diets. There's people on the ice cream diet. There's people on the sausage diet, like Diet Fitness, lost weight, eat McDonald's every day. I think AJ's trying to do a version of it at the moment where he's having a McDonald's every day at the moment.
Mhm.
So yeah, that like you can very much find at any point you can lose weight doing things. Just because you can do something doesn't mean it's the most intelligent way of doing it. All about balance.
100% balance is key. And have we spoke about this before? But one of the members in the group that I work on online, she said that somebody told her tracking your calories is a sign of an unhealthy relationship with food or like disordered eating. Have we touched on that before?
I've touched on it before, mate. Yeah,
It's a lot of people, I guess I can see why it's perceived as having a poor relationship with food and stuff, but again, we're just using it purely from a data standpoint, like data collection, knowing roughly how much is in the foods that you're eating, and then it's going to help you, it's going to be massively beneficial to you in the long run for the rest of your life. This isn't just a 2, 3, 4, 5 month thing. This is something that you can carry with you for the rest of your life.
I don't think there's any surprise that there's a correlation between us having more calories available to us in terms of the foods that eat. Like let's say for instance a Domino's pizza that didn't exist 100 years ago. Like you physically couldn't get a meal that was more than like 1,000 calories on demand. Like you right now you don't even need to leave your living room. You can order a Domino's pizza. Like we have to because we live out in the country. But like the point is most people don't have to leave their living room to do it. Then click it with a button. They can get it delivered to them. They're there all of a sudden. They've got 1,200 calories in front of them. There's no there's no surprise that there's a correlation between how much food that we have available to us, how easy it is to have it, our overconsumption, and the fact that there is. I don't think people understand how quickly weight rise is, like the weight epidemic. Why can't I think of the sentence I'm trying to put together here? Obesity,
Obesity.
obesity, health markers, everything else. We're getting worse and worse and worse. I think on average right now, most of us are carrying 5 kilos more on average than we were just 10 years ago. So yes, maybe 15, 20, 25 years ago, we could have got away with not tracking calories. I'm going to go as far to say is, can you afford not to track calories to have an understanding of your food? Because if you have no understanding of your food, it will always, always control you. Like just because you find an avocado in something doesn't make it healthy. Doesn't make
100%.
Yeah.
One of my clients as well, he said to me during the week there, he's like, I was having a cup of tea and I had a couple of digestive biscuits with it. And he's like, I cannot believe how many calories are in a digestive biscuit. And he wouldn't have known that had he not been tracking his calories. And he said to me, he's like, I can quite easily put away a full packet of them.
Yeah, and I think for anybody listening, we're not trying to put you off having your digestive biscuit. It's just more so understanding the fact that
Aye.
like, you feel like you've been good all week, and then you've earned a takeaway at the weekend, and then your breakfast on a Saturday or Sunday morning, you've got a big fry up sorted, and then you're not moving, and ultimately that is where the issue lies. Is the fact if you had, instead of having 4 digestive biscuits, not really realizing what's in them, have 2 digestive biscuits, you're then saving 200 calories a day, 200 calories Monday to Friday at the office. You're saving 1,000 calories, 1,000 calories you can then use on your pizza. All of a sudden you've saved 1,000 calories for the week. Your weight will start to come down. You'll be healthier. With that, you're still having your digestive biscuits. You're still having a pizza. It's just actually understanding the setup of that rather than for 2 digestive biscuits a day. Like that's what it would be like.
Aye. 100%. And he said that as well. Like he's like, now that I'm more aware of how much is in the biscuits, I'm just cutting down my portion sizes. So he's still enjoying his digestive biscuits with his cup of tea. He's just not having as much. And he's already starting to see changes. Now I know it's not purely down just to cutting his digestive biscuits down. But because he has started tracking his calories, he's now being more mindful of everything else that he's taking in.
Yeah, no, I agree. Now, just going back to that point about someone saying that like calorie counting is restrictive or bad for your poor
Mhm.
relationship with food, I would argue the complete opposite. It's the same people who say that like exercise is unhealthy for you. Like if like people start going to the gym, oh, that's restrictive, that's unhealthy, because that was a thing for a large period of time. Like we're still doing the fact that like thank thank God for CrossFit and Instagram and everything else for people to show women it was okay to lift weights. But it was only 10 years ago again, like there were people like, oh, women shouldn't lift weights because we got bulky. And I'm like, it's always the people who are in the position where they don't do that and are unhappy with themselves who'll give that type of information. So I guarantee you, anyone who says, and I mean, a controversial opinion, if you have that opinion and say that like it's an unhealthy relationship with food, I would guarantee you already have an unhealthy relationship with food. You just don't know about it or aren't willing to accept it yet.
Aye, 100% self-denial. Just touching on your thing there about women shouldn't lift weights because they'll become big and bulky. I've been lifting weights for about 10 years and I am still not big and bulky.
I see when we were talking about women lifting weights there, and then you went, and I have been lifting weights. I'm like, is this you trying to jump into the 21st century and you're going to identify as a woman now or something?
I mean, technically I can, and you
But
can't say it about it.
I got to put a post up about this one. I put a post up about this once where I was like, for women who think that lifting weights will make them bulky, your boyfriend's been trying for the last 10 years and it's not worked out for him. So you've got very little chance of that happening. Like,
100%, 100%. But I completely agree with everything that you just said there as well. It's not a disordered eating or an unhealthy relationship with food. I would agree with you and argue that it's the complete opposite. It's education, it's knowledge, and knowledge is power.
yeah, I don't quite understand the mentality of not wanting to know things. It's like, at what point of understanding that that has an energy value and you have a certain energy value that you use each day, how in any way that's unhealthy. That's you tie it back to money. It's like if somebody is unhealthy to know how much money that you have to how much money you spend, it's a surefire way to make sure that you're absolutely bankrupt or scared to
Hmm.
spend any money. So you need to be restrictive. It's like somebody saying, like, you can save money by not going on nights out, or you can save money by not going shopping. Yes, Einstein, that's completely correct. But most people want to spend money and want to go out and nights out. So understanding what comes in and what goes out, I don't understand how that's unhealthy.
I think it's a mentality thing because people don't want to know how unhealthy they actually are.
Oh, he's touched on it. He's just hit the nerve there. I was going to say that's anybody who's still listening to that point and who feels like that and is getting triggered. That's the point where they'll turn up at your door because you're absolutely fucking right.
100%. I think people are in complete denial of how unhealthy they actually are. So when they see other people starting to care about their health and, take into consideration what it is they're putting into their body, they get their back up about it, even though it has fuck all to do with them. It's just a case of I'm being mega unhealthy. You need to be mega unhealthy with me. They want you to do what they want you to do. Does that make sense? Did I say that right?
Yeah, you've got two things on that. So, firstly, you've got the people around you who are then getting bigger and bigger and bigger because, like, again, we're all carrying on average 5 kilos more than what we were 5, 10 years ago. So it then becomes more normalized for you to be overweight. And the people who are overweight are eating unhealthy foods or higher calorie foods that are causing them to be that way. But then it's like an echo chamber where they'll tell you it's okay. But then on the opposite side of things, we now have access to very fit and good looking people who post things on Instagram when they're out and they're having coffees and teas or that are then they've got the breakfast that are smashed with like massive amounts of bacon, avocados. I'm giving avocados a hard time since you've mentioned, but you've got all sorts of sauces, butters, and everything on it. Going, well, sure, they get away with that, and you're like, well, yeah, they get away with that for two reasons. One, they are not you. Their activity is probably
Hmm.
you don't see their activity, you don't see what they're eating during the week. Sure, I picked pizza up last night. If that's what you think I do on a nightly basis, then you'd be wrong. It's just not really sexy for me to put two turkey burgers and half a packet of basmati rice up on Instagram.
Hmm.
Like, so the thing is, you look at it and go, well, that's what I want to be, or like they can get away with it. And it's like, yeah, they can because they're doing it intelligently, but
Aye. That's the thing. That's a good point as well. Like you don't know what they're doing behind the scenes. You don't know what they're doing behind closed doors. You do not know what their output is. You don't know how they're eating for the rest of the week. That is why they can get away with it. And like a lot of people can look at skinny people that are having fucking pizza for their dinner, and going, oh my God, they must have such a high metabolism. No, it's just because they're intelligent about how they're doing it, how they're handling it, how they're managing it.
yeah, I couldn't agree anymore on that.
Love it. Love it. Love it.
Love it.
That was half lovely, half love it.
That's a pub down my dad's way in Glasgow. They love it, mate. But appreciate that.
Oh, right, mate. I think I'm going to stop talking here because my words are failing me today. Um, is that are we sitting at a good enough time to wrap up? Because I do need to take Rachel to the airport. She is off to Paris.
Harry, yes, mate. You enjoy yourself. Go and hit the hard reboot button. Get your voice working again, mate.
Oh, mate, I know. Mate, if there's something that you want to dive into quickly, we absolutely can. Or
Oh no, no. Like I think we've covered quite a lot of ground there. You've got shit to do. I've got shit to do. So we'll leave it there. Thank you, troops, for listening.
thank you so much for listening.
Where can they find you, Gary?
Instagram at GMAC Health and Fitness. I'll put the bio in the description of this podcast episode.
At BioFitness88 for myself. We will be live, not live, we'll be up again every Sunday, 5 o'clock. So speak to you soon.
See you all there.
See you all there.